Hello folks and welcome to episode 16 of Squares Realm. Today I'm feeling a wee bit more optimistic and better at myself. I was very fucking much touched by the wee outpouring that I got in PMs from people in that last episode talking about suicide and all. I just want to say I'm feeling a lot better. I'm doing a lot better with myself. I went down to Belfast for a few days and just to manage my mental health and stayed with my girlfriend, and bounced back a fair bit, and it's just it's just flattering to see that a lot of people were supportive to me. And PMs, one man actually told me he was suicidal himself and encouraged him to talk about it, and we had a good wee back and forth between me and him, talking about bits and pieces and what have you, about life and about how, just basically how he felt that those people on Facebook didn't give a fuck and he was in the exact same position as me. I'll not talk too much about him because it's kind of private, but I was flattered and fucking touched by that there, and I thought it was very fucking nice of him. They reached out, and a few other boys said to me too, fucking keep it together, and as you say, Square, don't let that bastards grind you down, you know what I mean? But I want to make this podcast a wee bit of a fun one today. Hey, I want to don't want to go fucking too fucking in deep, and I want to gather my thoughts when I'm talking about this here. I actually recorded one just previously there, but I wasn't too happy. I was flowing in and out of conversations, and I wasn't making too much sense. But I think basically what I want to talk about is ideology, and identity politics to the extent, and how those sorts of identity politics could lead on possibly to products. We could start identifying with products just like we identify with risks, and in a future technocracy where products alter your brain chemistry and your happiness, it is no longer alien to think that these sort of identity politics could creep onto products and cause wars. It's a kind of sci-fi idea I've been having, which is an idea that corporate power will get so out of control at some point where nationalism, socialism, communism, all these ideologies will take second place, and even race, gender, economic background, our current situation, identity politics, that will take second place. Then the identity politics driven into products that alter your brain, make you happier, just like Elon Musk's Neuralink, which will be a sort of operating system for the brain to improve, your interpretation of reality, what have you. But ideology is basically the idea that a group of people have one goal they move towards, and that goal works in identifying those common alliances that group has towards. And just like you talk about fucking Trump and all that there, like everybody calling him a racist and stuff like that there, at the end of the day, say anything you want about Trump. I'll not go too much into it because I don't want to look like I'm sucking the man's dick, because I'm not even a fan of any of these world leaders. But given the choice between Trump and Biden, I'll take Trump any day. I'll take grab her by the pussy over fondle a fucking 8-year-old fucking girl on a fucking stage 2 hours apart with about 40 different fucking assaults on them over fucking Donald Trump grab her by the pussy in a private conversation. The people like attacking Trump for that and then not attacking Biden on the same flip of the coin, they're showing their impartialness by ideology. They're showing that they're on the side of the left, and it doesn't matter what data you give me, I'm on the side of the left, and Donald Trump's a bad guy and he's a good guy, when they're totally blind to what that man is like as well, you know what I mean? And that's the sort of thing that you get into with ideology and identifying with certain agendas, you know what I mean? But the idea that I was having, that it's going to get so hard with corporatism that eventually corporate power will become so huge that government will take second place, and even things like civil rights. I mean, if we have a product in the future, say 30 years time, when Neuralink and them other technologies develop, and say Google has a product that works on your nervous system and can make you happy or sad or blissful, and then let's say Google or Apple bring out a product that makes you fucking you don't get to hear any fucking racist dialogue or whatever the fucking novelty will be individual to you, then I believe identity politics will reach into products and people will actually die for a corporate company before they'll die for their country. I mean, you might think that's a mad idea, but look at how broad your national identity is. The national identity encompasses everybody in that nation, and you can feel lonely even in that national identity. But a product tailored specifically to your desires and your needs, you'll probably die for that more than any other thing in the world. And that's like a wee sci-fi idea I was talking about with my girlfriend about. I was saying, if they did have a product in the future that was, altering your behaviour or your responses to reality, like civil rights and all this materialist objectivism, like reductionist kind of viewpoint of like resources. It'll no longer be wars about resources and gold and coal and what have you. It'll be more about wars about the novel outcomes that those resources can bring, i.e. technology, iPhone 47 that can make you see in the dark, etc. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's such a far-reaching concept. I'd say you give it 50, 60 years and there'll probably political activism fighting for certain products, or at least groups of people identifying more with products than their politicians or their national identity or their gender or their race, etc. I'd say it's just a matter of time before products take precedence over all those things and are so tailor-made to the individual, that people will die. There could literally be a war someday over an iPhone. And that's why I wanted to talk about, and if you're listening to that there and you're thinking that's crazy, look up the war that started in Africa over the resources they make the PS2. When the PS2 was released, there was a microprocessor in that there that contained a very rare metal that was only found in Africa, and because the PS2 had to be launched in Christmas and made, there was actually civil wars broke out in Africa over that metal being mined from their resources. Like a war literally happened for a PS2. So don't think for 1 minute a war wouldn't happen by a nation and another nation over a product that they have and a product that another nation has. It is definitely a conceivable fucking thing to imagine. In fact, your imagination can get really crazy with that idea, and you can imagine all sorts of dystopian Matrix-like possibilities that'll happen in the world. You know what I mean? But I want to talk about too how ideology is a trap you necessarily don't want to get into. The best ideology you can have is no ideology, because then you can see everything clearly. The minute you have an ideology, you start thinking in that group of like, this is our group, this is what we need to know, what we need to see, and that might provide a sense of comfort and identity. But if you're truly finding truth, you'll not get no comfort in that at all. In fact, all you'll get is lies, subjugated facts, half-truths, and fucking novel information like factoids, which are essentially just lines repeated over and over again that they appear to be true, but they're not actually true. And if you want a bit of understanding of how that happened, just look at George Bush, how he constantly repeated that Iraq had mass weapons of destruction. He just kept saying this and saying this and saying this, and eventually it became believed as true, even though there was actually no substantial evidence they supported. But that's the word we get into with factoids, ideology, impartial media. And that's what I'm trying to say too in this current world with identity politics and the separation and divide that's going on between people. We no longer have an impartial media. If you look at the Biden and Trump thing, it was completely one-sided. And throughout Trump's term, he was treated completely one-sided. And I'm not saying he's a moral fucking great guy or somebody we should all love and adore, but the man never started a war, as opposed to nearly every fucking presidential leader in America for the last 50 years. They've been involved somewhere in other wars. Now, I'm not a big man, happy man about the Israel and China connection and stuff like that there, but there's no denying you can no longer call Donald Trump a warmonger. and you can no longer definitely call him a racist when you look at the majority of votes that were coming from Hispanics and the blacks in America. And in fact, some black people calling Donald Trump a racist don't know Biden's history, and they don't know the facts of where they're getting this information, other than the fact that a biased media has turned us against the fat guy with the orange fist. So that's something I want to make clear. I'm not on Donald Trump's side, but given the choice between him and Biden and him and Hillary, I'll take Donald Trump any day. As I said, I'll take grab her by the pussy than fondle a fucking child on stage. In fact, it's okay, which is what Biden did. If he's go and Google the fucking videos, he's more of a sex creep than Donald Trump is, that's for sure. But anyway, moving swiftly on from that there, which I think is an interesting idea, that the corporatism can, affect products, and one day we will have a war. Can you imagine it? People dying for an iPhone 47, and then on the other side it was Google. It was a Google Drive 56, but both of them provided bliss, but it just so happened Google's bliss was just a wee bit better, so America went to war with China, so nobody could throw the Google 57 under the world, and that sounds totally sci-fi and alien. It's like something you'd see in a C.S. Lewis novel or a George Orwell book, but it is, I really believe that this identity politics stuff is really dangerous. Because there's nothing wrong, let me get clear, with identifying with your black heritage or your national heritage. And like Martin Luther King did the same. He fought for civil rights in America, but he identified the whole as similar more than different. Whereas what's happening now is people aren't identifying the whole as similar, they're identifying one group and saying no, they're to blame for everything, and that's where all the white guilt is coming out of. It's as if, and it's more dangerous than racism that it claims to protect, and in fact there's actually no real moral differences between the two. Both are as fucking wicked and as groupthink and as ruled by the mob as the other, So I don't get into identity politics. I don't believe in it. I believe to a certain extent. It's healthy to identify with being Irish. You can make decisions all day long about your identity, about being black. But when you start saying that somebody else has an identity and they have to feel guilt for that, when they're just born into the word, that's when it gets a bit tricky and a subject. So, and as I said before, that identity politics can then lead on to products, and now we're on a real corporate mess. It started off as a good idea, but the whole identity politics movement and ideology in general seems to move towards small groups rather than the unified whole, and that's where I have a problem with. But I suppose I want to also talk about a guy called Bill Hicks. If you don't know Bill Hicks, folks, he's one of my favourite comedians. He's a big inspiration in my life. He's made me, have confidence in having a voice, going against the status quo and stuff like that there. He was born in Texas in the 60s, I think. I'm not sure he's did a birth. It could be 69. But he only died at the age of 32 with pancreatic cancer. And he was some fucking boy, and I actually watched Bill Hicks live at Igby's not that long ago, and it was a fantastic fucking laugh. I watched it on acid and I laughed my fucking head off the whole way. You can actually get it on YouTube. The video quality's not great, but just listen to the man's timing and his venomous bite, how he's really harsh and fucking brutal fucking comedy. The man is fucking brilliant, and I would love to hear what Bill Hicks would make of the state of the world today and all the things going on. In fact, some would argue that if Bill Hicks was on the word today, we probably wouldn't even be on half of this mess, because we could have somebody pointing out the logical fucking inaccuracies in a lot of our arguments. You know what I mean? Like BLM and all that there. Like when they named that there BLM, that was just searching for controversy, George Soros, I think, probably handpicked that name himself to cause dissent amongst all other people and stop us becoming unified as one, as a whole. But it's just stuff like that there's been bothering me a lot, because I'm a sort of guy that likes to have a voice of reason. But I feel even in this climate of everybody calling people out and culture cancel culture and all this nonsense going on in the world. Even me as a person that was confident in my reasonable voice, even I feel silenced in this climate. I feel like I can't say fuck all about nothing, about nobody, without fear of being called a racist or a bigot or a fucking a half-wit or whatever. You're just afraid to have an opinion anymore, and that's not healthy for society. As I've said before, that's terrible. I actually fell out with a guy that I went to the art gallery with because I was against trans kids getting operations. My idea was that a kid doesn't really have the adult capacity to make those long-term decisions about its health and its life. Like when you go to get an operation, it's usually your mother decides where you can get it because the child can't inform himself. But this whole like trans movement, and before I say this, I'm not against trans, I'm against kids getting operations early and stunting their puberty before they can even make adult decisions about their sexuality and gender and stuff like that there. You know what I mean? I had a disagreement with that, but this boy was so far left he couldn't understand. I said, lad, this isn't a black and white issue. He says, I unfriend every bigot, every homophobe, every racist, every family, and I was all, lad, you've got it all wrong, lad. I genuinely care. It's like most political decisions come from people caring. It's very easy for all to say, I'm on their good side and you are the baddies. And that's the biggest deception we can all put on ourselves, is thinking somehow that the person in our political climate is a bad guy. They too have cares and values and idolise things that they see as true and good for society as a whole. I mean, they're not all Adolf Hitler's people on the right, and people on the left aren't all fucking like, Jesus, actually even hard to give you a description of somebody on the left, but there's so many zealot liberals now today that they go run around saying they're anti-fascists, yet all they do is put their fists in there and act like fascists non-stop. You know what I mean? It's like, that's usually a sign, as Douglas Murray said on the recent Joe Rogan podcast, when they start having one hand in the air, that's usually a sign you're steering towards fascism. So something to think about. But Bill Hicks, folks, is a brilliant guy, pretty fucking brilliant comedian, and he was actually out taking mushrooms at one point with his friends. They went out to this fucking place and they actually seen UFOs land down in the fucking grass, and they went on the alien ships and seen communicate with aliens and everything on mushrooms. But one time when he was taking fucking large doses, he felt this pain on his side, and he said to his best friend, he said, look, I don't know what it is, but I feel this fucking aura around the side of my body, and I think it's going to be the place where I'm going to die from. Years later, at the age of 32, he died of pancreatic cancer, and his friend recalled saying that spot that he was talking to and touching was actually the fucking spot where he contracted cancer and died. And we can jump the gun and say there's hidden knowledge, but who knows what spiritual fucking data is written in your makeup as you grow and evolve as a human being, you know what I mean? What things are pre-written, you never know. But I found that fascinating, and I think you should really check him out. He's so anti-establishment. He does great fucking rundowns of society. One of his famous cues from leaving one of his stand-up shows called Revelations was the wee monologue called Just a Ride, and I'm ad-libbing here, but he says it's just a ride, you can change it any time you want. It's basically making the analogy that life's like a roller coaster. You can get off, you can get on. He said, isn't it funny how those people have been on the ride too long and they try and stop us from ever realising that this is just a ride? They say, no, shut him up. He said, but it's just a ride. He said, you can choose between fear and love. The eyes of fear want you to buy bigger guns, lock up your doors, fear your neighbour, but the eyes in love instead see all of us as one. And he said, here's what we can do to make this world a better place and a better ride. He says, take all that money we spend on war industry and the industrial war complex every year, and instead use it to feed and clothe the poor of the world, and then we can explore space together forever, both inner and outer. You know what I mean? His son boy, Bill Hicks, is a fucking great guy, and I would recommend you all give him a fucking chance and check him out. But moving swiftly on to our subject now, I want to talk about a friend, Chin, Conor McDermott, he called him. He was a great tattooist. He had a great naive style, very traditional. He was a fan of, I don't know the name of the famous tattooist, but there's this famous sailor guy, tattooist, and he was big into his trad work, and he's very much into Japanese. He's actually done quite a few tattoos on me, but Chan sadly died a few years ago, just over a year and a half ago maybe. I think it was before Corona. So much has happened this year, it's hard to even keep track, to be honest. But he was a good boy, and he sadly died of suicide. And he had so much creative potential, but the darkness in his life just took over, and he couldn't fucking hack it anymore, and he gave up. And I just remember after doing that last podcast and being suicidal, that Chan came back into my head, and I said to myself, I don't want to end up doing that there and being a fool like he was, to be quite honest, and doing that, because he had so much potential and so much passion for life. You would not believe how passionate Chan was about art and about creating and about, you know, just all the different wee clicks and styles and how they draw. And he was really a really passionate guy. He used to give me art quite a lot, and we would share art. I would give him art and he would give me tats and stuff. In fact, just to celebrate him a bit, I've put some of his artwork up on the screen there, and you can enjoy that and get a joke at it. But his stuff is good, and I'm on the movement art brute, you know, so I believe that true art, passionate art, the realist art comes from a raw place, and it ain't concerned with professionalism. And Chin was very much like that as well. He hit it, the whole mainstream culture that was happening, the tattooing. He hit it, the whole mainstream approach, how it was like becoming sort of everywhere. He was very much into the underground, the darker side of life. You know, the what was the word, the robustness of it being, you know, like an underground movement. You know, he was very much an old style tattooist, a bandit that made it, you know. But I'll just show you a tattoo done for me here. Look, I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but look, that's how he Charles Manson they done for me. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Charles Manson, and Chin knew that. And he said, well, I would love to get a Charles Manson tattoo on you sometime. And I said, no bother, Chan. I was going to actually let the boy done this year do it on me, but he ended up stealing my own tattoo and stuff. He was a bit of a twat, to be honest, but Chan was alright. Chan done the Manson, and he also done that wee swallow. And if you look at that swallow, Chan always done tattoos that were one of a kind. He would never do the same tattoo twice. But this here's basically one of a kind for the fact that it isn't one of a kind, because I paid him some extra money, and because I knew him well, he gave me a tattoo that he'd done before on me as a wee sort of friendly fucking gesture. So that's a one-off. By not being a one-off, it's the only one Chin probably done twice. But he was a great guy, and somebody that definitely needs to be celebrated in Derry. And he made a wee legacy for himself, and he helped me in my own creative pursuits move forward and stuff like that there. So he was a good fucking boy, hey. He was a good boy, and sad to see him go. Sad to see him go. So, you know, you should probably catch his art online. I think it might still be available on Instagram and that, but good boy, hey. Good boy. And definitely a reminder for me not to fucking do something so stupid, because I've got my art, and I've got a beautiful girlfriend who's supportive and is always there for me, and I've got a lot to fucking be happy about, to be quite honest. There's people out there with nothing, no creative goal, no vision, no idea for the future where they can grow and progress. Some people are just fucking literally living on £40 a fortnight. So fuck it, you know. But I suppose that's a good wee bunch of things I talked about there. I think I'll talk about now about the first time I took peyote cactus. Now, if you don't know what peyote cactus is, it's a psychedelic drug, and shamans and that use it in fucking Amazonian fucking jungles and that. It was a cactus about that size there, and it was covered in like these wee dots of cyanide, and I bought 2 of them. Me and my friend, the guy that spiked me with 2 acid trips and ecstasy, he also decided it would be great if Square Bear took some peyote cactus. And that day I went up to your woman, I was all saying, is that legit there? Is that legit peyote? And she was, oh, that's legit peyote, just eat it, you know, wait for the effects to happen. I said, well, definitely get high. She goes, 100%, nobody's ever complained to me about them, they get high all the time. In fact, they say they get high too much. So I said, oh, happy days, happy days. So I went home, me and Charlie were sitting there, we were going, alright then, let's get a bit of this here and that, the peyote cactus. Waiting around for ages. Now the reason the thing that I didn't realise was that paranoia and extreme agitation was also side effects of fucking taking this psychedelic drug, and I started getting really paranoid and really and I started thinking about your woman. And I said, we bought that peyote cactus and she didn't even give me my money back. She ripped us off. And Charlie was going, you're just freaking out, you're high, calm down, you'll be grand. I go, no, I'm going up there, I'm going to fucking tell her what's what. I'm not fucking paying fucking £40 for 2 fucking peyote cactuses to not get high. I was out of my fucking brain and I didn't even know it. I was speaking in aggression and madness, and my eyes were standing in my head like a fucking lunatic. I was going like that there. I went up the fucking Red Star, I was saying, oh, not that, sweat blinding me, pupils standing in my head about that fucking size. I said, I was saying there, hey, you took my fucking money and I didn't even get high, this peyote cactus. The minute I started raising my voice and she could see the intensity that was out of my fucking head, and she said to me, she said, you sure you're not getting no effects of it? And I was all, I'm fucking telling you, fucking rub me off and fucking all this zero. She said, just go away for half an hour and see what happens. I went away for half an hour, went back down to the flat, peaking in aggression, peaking in paranoia, no physical tripping effects, just going fucking, she ripped me off. Went back up at 5 o'clock. She was coming out of the fucking door, went to her, confronted her, boom, she jumped up against the shutters. She was all, look, yeah, I don't know what happened and all. I was all, you fucking robbed me, I was fucking sitting on. The girl was freaking out, and I went back up there for some methadone and that before your man was shot, and she had moved on from the job completely. I think she probably got a danger check and left the fucking thing, because the psycho was up fucking doing her head on peyote cactus, thinking he was robbed when really he was fucking peaking on a level 5 psychedelic trip. But that day I went home and I started noticing fucking all her effects, and I put on a guy called Steve Brule. Steve Brule's on a TV show called Tim and Eric. It is fucking hilarious. But on acid, it's a completely different level of hilarious. I went home and I'm not joking you, I stuck that cunt on. Steve Brule, if you don't know who it is, check him out. I started laughing my fucking head off. I mean, I was getting vibrations coming out of my belly, going away up my neck and my skull, and when I would laugh, there was an agony with pain. I couldn't stop laughing. I just seen this cunt drinking wine and spitting it out of his mouth, and away I went. I leave the flat. I laughed that hard. I was trying to shut my mind off from even seeing him in my brain. Every time he would pop into my head, I would go into hilarious laughter again. So I was pretty wrong to confront your woman to shudders and freak her out, because as the day progressed, I definitely did get effects, which was fucking mad. But I suppose I've talked a fair bit today, folks. 28 minutes. I don't want to go on to further and then have to, come back on an edit. So we talked about ideology and impartial media. Did I even say that? That's what I want to say about Donald Trump too, just to leave it on that there. If the media isn't impartial, we can't have democracy. Democracy doesn't exist unless the media is impartial, and we definitely don't have an impartial media. And once you don't have an impartial media, you don't have democracy, because then, the people aren't making their minds up. They're being told what they think, which is not the way it's supposed to be. But we talked about that. We talked about identity politics and how identity politics can move on to products, and someday maybe people will have wars over products. And we talked about Bill Hicks, and we talked about my friend Sean. So I think we've done alright today. Till next time, folks, don't let that bastard grind you down. Up life.